afternoon. So the topic that I was asked to lead the afternoon session with was on diversity. And when I first got the call, I thought, oh, put the woman on stage and get her to talk about diversity. And so I said to the organizers, okay, listen, I'll do it, but I'm not going to talk gender. And then this happened. Third time in the last 2 weeks that I'm on a flight with a female pilot off to Paris. Miłego dnia. And the response, nieźle, może zagraj w totoloto. Pięknego Paryża. So I would consider myself as somebody who believes that women can do everything. We can do anything. Except perhaps being a pilot. That somehow to me was a surprise that I felt I needed to celebrate it. And who did I celebrate it with? I celebrated it with another really forward-thinking woman. And I wrote her in. What was her response? Play the lottery. Ooh. So, let me ask, how many of you here are of a height of, let's say, 167 centimeters or more, 5'6" or more? Hands up in the air. Yeah? If you're taller, i.e. 167 or more. Hands up one more time. So keep your hands up for a second. Those of you, everybody look around. The people that are with their hands up in the air, we want to congratulate them. We want to congratulate them. Why? Because statistically, they have the probability of making more money than everybody else. True. Statistically, it's proven that perceived taller people are perceived, perhaps, to have more strength, more confidence, more courage. Who knows? Back in the hunter-gatherer days, the taller people were perceived to be stronger, perhaps faster. So they were the leads in the packs, the gatherers, the hunters. And somehow in society today, we're still rewarding. This time we're rewarding with remuneration. So we say, don't judge a book by its cover. We have lots of expressions. You only have one chance to make a first impression. And yet, it's exactly what we do. We judge books. We judge each other by the cover. So why is it we do this? What did you see on the screen before this statement came up? One more time? A dog running. Did everybody get a chance to catch that? It was up for not even a full second. It was up for tenths of a second. And yet look at how quickly your brain was able to pick that up. See, consciously, we pick up about 40 information bits per second. Unconsciously, our brain is taking in 11 million information pieces a second. So, in order for us to be able to survive, our brain thinks in categories. It's the only way that it can actually process this information, this massive amount of things happening around us. Again, it comes back to the survival days. Our brains are our core mechanism for us to be able to survive. And so it takes in consciously and unconsciously, information, and it's categorizing it all the time. Looking for repeated patterns, looking for familiarities. Because if we can classify, then it allows us to be able to function perhaps quicker, faster, better. Statement, true or false? If all biffs are croons, and all croons are darns, then all darns are biffs. Correct? Ah. Correct? No. It would be like saying, if Cindy creates conflict in the office, and Cindy is a woman, therefore all women create conflict in the office. Or, if most criminals are poor, then most poor people are on welfare, then by design, welfare must go to criminals. See, our brain is constantly looking for that easy answer. It's constantly looking to try to create those associations that will allow us to function with this massive data, this massive information, allow us to look for familiarity. And so it's this power of perception that is critical. It's how we guide ourselves. And I'm always amazed at what we expect from the business world. So we get this big topic of diversity. And we say, the business world needs to get more diverse. We need more women at the top. We need more cultural diversity. As if business doesn't already have its challenges when it comes to sustainability, not reaping the world of our resources, and still trying to do what it can to feed the ambitions of shareholders. And on top of that, on top of their business goals, they need to achieve this arduous task of being diverse. It's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask because when we think about how we are influenced, when we think about what makes us, before we even get to the business world, what is influencing us day in and day out from the day we're born, it's our religions, it's our education.
Excuse me, sir?
Yes?
I want to go to Mars. Do you have a book for that?
So, if we think about the messages and the leadership that we get through religion, if we think about the messages and role modeling we get through education and through where we take in our sources of information. When we think about media and how we depict stereotypes through media. When we think about our own home environments and the cultural stereotypes that we grow up with, that we continue to instill. If we take the home and we take media and we take religion and we take education, and then we get to the business world and we say, forget all of that. Forget what you've learned. Forget the way that your brain has been categorizing all of that. Forget it. Because now you need to be diverse. Now you need to accept everybody. See, we've developed, and all of us have, unconscious or implicit biases. It's human. But we also have our values. And what's interesting is that our values are often in conflict with our biases. Remember my airline? My value system says women can be anything and everything. And yet, somehow my unconscious bias was, but wow, a pilot? Yeah. So how do we uncode ourselves? How do we become more aware of these unconscious biases, these implicit biases that by design we have? Because as humans, we're communicators. We want to assimilate. We want to be part of a team. We want to be part of a company culture. We want to be part of a gathering. And yet, we want to be able to display our own authenticity, our own uniqueness. And so how do we balance that? Be a part of something, and yet be accepted for who I am. We judge. We judge each other in order to protect ourselves. See, judgment is a way to build your own self-confidence. When we judge others, it allows us to protect ourselves, to stay at a level of not necessarily understanding that person, because if we have to understand them, it may cause us to come back and reflect on ourselves. So rather than judge, how do we build relationships with people that think differently than us, that see differently than us? It's not about our culture and our heritage and those milestones of what we physically are known for. But it's about the environments we create. It's the environments that we instill around us that allow not just those that are similar to us or those that think similar to us can be accepted, but in environments where people feel that they can be the best of who they can be around us. Because as humans, we are one of those rare species that lives for community, that lives for communication. And there's one thing that we all share, and that's hopes and aspirations. So my encouragement to each other is, let's get beyond the first layer of the onion when we get introduced to people, when we start working with people. Don't get fixated on what they do and what degrees they have and where they were educated. If they're a doctor or a lawyer, does it make them a better person? If they've got those titles and those degrees, are they any more open? Or is it better to get to know who we are? I always ask people to reflect on, when you're networking, what's the first question you ask people? Hi, I'm Anya, so what is it you do? I encourage you that when you get out and network after today's session, don't find out what each other do. Find out who each other are. Ask each other a question about your value system. Ask each other a question about your passions. Ask them about something you really care about. Because what they do won't necessarily bring you closer to deciding whether that's somebody you want to associate, but who they are will every time. So the question of diversity, yeah, it's important, but it's statistical. We all know it. We've read the articles. We know that diverse teams are more creative, that diverse management teams deliver better results. We've read the facts. We know it. And yet, we're still not able to get beyond it. So perhaps rather than thinking about diversity, we should be thinking more about inclusion, about individuality and being inclusive. Thank you very much.